Hello, good morning. Welcome to LinkedIn Marketing Minis. I'm Karen Yankovich, and I'm here with you every morning at 10 a.m. Eastern to just give you a little marketing tip to help you strengthen your marketing. I like to look at Q4 as the on-ramp to the new year. So as you're building your on-ramp, as you're building out your strategies, as you're wrapping up this year, I want you to just have some simple strategies to move your business forward, continue to bring in the business this year and really hit the ground running in the new year with big plans. So I'm here with you daily to do that for the foreseeable future. It is October 3rd, 2023 as I'm doing this live, and we're live today on my Facebook business page, my Facebook group, which if you have not joined us yet, you can join at linkedinforwomencommunity.com. LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. So yeah, I've had a lot of fun with this series, and looking forward to some really fun topics on my agenda. If there's a topic that I have not covered yet that you think would be a good topic for me to talk about, I'd love to get a message from you. Just DM me wherever you're watching this, and I will, or comment below with the topic that you'd like to hear me talk about, and I will add it to my list. I've got a list. So I love your thoughts though, because I want to know, this is for you, right? So whatever you think you'd like to hear me talk about, I'm here to talk about. So if you, one of the questions that I've gotten let's just move on. I'm just shifting gears here. Today's topic is an important topic, and what I want to talk about today is how to use LinkedIn to strengthen your commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And there's so many ways you can do this, and I've got some personal stories around this that kind of horrify me now, because here I am, like a privileged white woman, trying to, but having a strong commitment to diversity, equity, inclusion, right? How can I better serve a more diverse audience, right? In a way that builds, that allows. I think that when one of the things I realized recently, and I'm just going to kind of go off here, but one of the things I realized a couple of years ago when there was a big conversation around this was that I grew up in Bergen County, New Jersey. I did not have a single solitary teacher in my entire grammar school, middle school, and high school that was a person of color. Not one. So think about and I just totally didn't get that. In fact, I posted on Facebook because there's a lot of people that I was Facebook friends with, and I'm like, do you guys realize this? And like a lot of people were like, holy crap, we never realized it. And I just think about how sad that is for me that I missed out on those perspectives, right? And all these other students, right? I'm not sad for me that, listen, I grew up, I'm not complaining about how I grew up, but I think that there's a lot of perspective that I missed out on, right? Because of that. And I don't want my students and the people that I work with to miss out on that perspective, right? So I don't want the community that I serve with the business that I do to miss out on that perspective. So how do we do this? How do we strengthen our commitment to this? Well, first of all, let me just, give me 1 second. I'm going to share a podcast episode that I did a while back on this topic where I went deep into this, or deeper than I'm going to obviously be able to go today in this short little video. But that was KarenYankovich.com/164 gets you to that episode. And that's a deeper episode that I went through with this. And, there's certain things when I remembered when I did research for that episode, I learned things that I didn't even think about. And I'll talk to you a little bit about that today. But the first thing I want to talk about is things like preferred pronouns, right? LinkedIn, to my knowledge, was the first social media platform that made do you have preferred pronouns an option when you're creating your profile, right? Now, my preferred pronouns are what I guess maybe would be the norm for when you look at me, and that's she and her. But I use them on LinkedIn because I want to kind of I want to normalize the use of them for people that have pronouns that might not be as obvious when you look at when you see the image of them, right? So it isn't about I care, like I need everybody to call me she. It's less about that for me than it is about kind of being in solidarity with people and normalizing seeing preferred pronouns across the internet, and maybe I should add them here to my Zoom name here as I look at this, right? Um, because again, it just I just feel like it normalizes it. So it's these tiny little things that we can do on LinkedIn. But I love that LinkedIn was the first platform, again, to my knowledge, that included that as a part of their thing. And one of the things that we did when I did this episode, we looked internally to see what can we do to strengthen the corporate commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And one of the things we do when we work with people is we write your LinkedIn profile. So when we're writing your LinkedIn profile, I want there to be, we now ask that question, what are your preferred pronouns, and do you want to use them on your LinkedIn profile, right? So again, normalizing it. This is a story that kind of turns my stomach a little bit, but it is what it is, right? It is what it is. You need to know where you are so you can know how to get better at this stuff, right? I don't know, I have like a string on my shirt here. Sorry. I was speaking at a conference a couple of years ago, and the name of the conference was Women of Color Connecting, and I was speaking on LinkedIn. And two things came up for me at that conference that I had not really ever thought about. First of all, I was speaking in the afternoon. Thank the heavens. I was speaking in the afternoon because in the morning I was sitting watching all the speakers, such great speakers, and I was sitting there scrolling through my presentation on my phone, and I realized that in my presentation, I did not have a single person of color in my presentation. Not one picture of a person of color. Okay, not one. Like I hadn't even realized it. So thankfully I had my laptop with me. I ran out in the hall and I shifted my presentation because again, how insane is it that I'm doing this presentation at Women of Color Connected? I got all these white people in my presentation, right? You know better, you do better. So of course that got shifted. But then I was doing my talk in the afternoon and there was a woman that stood up and she said, I'm not comfortable using my picture on LinkedIn. I'm like, and me again, the idiot, privileged white woman standing at the front of the room says, well, why not? Every people need to connect with you. They need to know who you are. They want to see your face. Know, like, and trust you. Because there's people that aren't going to, I think there's people that are not going to want to work with me when they see that I'm a woman of color. And I like it. It shook me to my core because it never occurred to me. It never occurred to me. Right. So I tell you these things because depending on where you stand on the spectrum, depending on what color your skin is, right, there's things to be learned. And I am here to say, like, I'm still learning. I will always be learning. And as I do this work with you on LinkedIn, I want to help you with this if I can, right? So first of all, the preferred pronouns is an easy one. That's really an easy one. But I want you to look at your visuals on LinkedIn. For example, one of the things that I've got on LinkedIn, I have an experience section for my podcast. And I looked at that, and I've had many people of color on my podcast, right? So I looked at it though, but the episodes I spotlighted were either me or other white women. So I'm like, and that, I don't know why that is. It just was like, I think I set it up when I first started it. And I'm like, oh, let's do this one. Let's do that one. Well, now I'm intentionally mixing up the episodes that I put out there because I want to spotlight some of the episodes I did for Women of Color. I specifically, part of my commitment to DE&I is to make sure that I have a diverse audience, a diverse mix of guests on my show. Right. So I need to showcase that. Right. So that's something that you can do either just creating visuals right on LinkedIn. Like, look at your visuals. Think about the words on your profile. Right. Like, you can maybe even ask other people to look at it. Maybe ask me to look at it. Maybe put something out there that says, is there anything that makes you feel that you're less included by what I put on my profile? Like my program is called She's Linked Up. Okay. I'll use this as an example. It's called the She's Linked Up Accelerator Program. And the reason it's called She's Linked Up is not to exclude men. It's to make women feel more included. I think women need to feel more included on LinkedIn and strategy. And I want to help women feel more included, right? I don't care what your body parts are. I don't care how you identify. We've had people of all across the gender spectrum, right, join our program. And I'm happy about that. I love that. But I specifically speak to women because I want women to feel more included. I mean, it's a little thing, but think about the words on your profile. And it's interesting. One of the things that I learned too when I was doing the research for that podcast episode that's scrolling across the bottom there. And by the way, jump in if you have any comments about any of this or anything to say to add to this discussion. One of the things I learned when I researched was that when you're creating like a job offering, right? Let's say you've got a job that's you've got a job offering in your company, right? Women will not apply for that job if it says required skills, if they don't have every one of those required skills, where men will apply for those if they have half of those required skills. Like there's things like that are out there. So when you're creating job offerings, make them more inclusive. Maybe instead of saying required skills, say, we prefer a mix of these skills, right? Because chances are you're not going to get somebody that has every single one of those skills, right? But if that's what you're putting in there, there's a lot of people that you are excluding from those job offerings on LinkedIn because of the way you worded it. Right? So think about these kinds of things when you are creating opportunities, when you're writing your profile, look at your visuals on your profile, and does it feel inclusive? Like, as a matter of fact, I would love for you to take some time today and just go from the top to the bottom of your profile and see, is there a way to make this profile feel more inclusive? Right? To just take another step towards your commitment to doing your part for diversity, equity, and inclusion. Think about your keyword strategy, right? Think about your keyword strategy. Are those keywords I'll use realtors as an example, right? They've changed, 5 years ago, if you were looking at a house, it would say, here's the master bedroom suite, right? Now it's called the primary suite because, people were realizing that master is a racist term, right? But we say it so many times that we don't even think about it anymore. We need to think about it. So go through your profile and think about the words, see how you're doing it, see how, just look at the kinds of ways that you describe things, and do you feel that it's inclusive? It is not up to anybody but you to do the work on this, right? But if you have a business partner, if you have a mastermind, you may want to take a day and say, hey, let's look at each other's profiles and each other's marketing, right? Let's look at our LinkedIn strategy and look at it with the eyes of my commitment to DE&I, right? And ask somebody else to look at it, understanding that you're not asking other people to do the work for you, but maybe you're part of a business group where you can do this for each other, right? Ask them this because sometimes, like me, thank God I saw that. I recognized those slides when I was doing that presentation. But had I been in a business mastermind and had somebody with their eyes on it, can I just tell you, my slide presentations, I hate doing slide presentations. I hate them. And I can tell you, if I started from scratch, from start to finish, I would have definitely made a point of there being more inclusive images on the slide presentation, but I changed them and I keep the same. I probably have slides on my slide presentation that I created 10 years ago. So, but as I change it, I'm not paying attention to that, right? I'm not necessarily saying, wait, let me look at the whole slide deck and see if there's a diverse mix of people on these slides, right? Because I'm just looking at the slides I'm implementing and the slides I'm inserting and the ones I'm pulling out, right? You need to every now and then look at this. Look at your LinkedIn profile, look at the visuals on your LinkedIn profile, look at the way you're describing these things, and see if you feel that you feel comfortable that it represents your commitment to DE&I. And honestly, it starts here. It starts there with your LinkedIn profile, because that's what people are looking at. They're looking at that as your personal brand. And if you have a commitment to this, you need to do this work. Okay. There's lots of people other than me that teach this stuff. This is definitely not something that I teach, more something that I stand for, and more something that I'm looking to include in all the work that I do, so that when I work with the people that I work with, the people that join our She's Linked Up Accelerator program, we are showing up in a way, and again, people that we're hiring, people that are students that are coming into the program, I want to make sure that I've got, going back to what I said in the beginning of this, growing up with not one teacher that was a person of color, not one, until I went to college, right? Which is crazy when I think about it. But it is what was the time. I don't know. Was the times? I don't know. I think I missed out on perspective, and I don't want my clients to miss out on that same perspective. I want them to I want them to have big, fat, juicy understandings of all the different perspectives in the world, right? And that comes with a commitment to DE&I. So if you want to, I would definitely take a listen to the podcast because there's more there. And I go into detail on, and specifically on LinkedIn, I talk about where I saw these studies of the words that you use in your profile and things like the job offerings and how to make them feel more inclusive in the way you're describing things. So you can definitely listen to the podcast and get more details there. And then, grab a spot on my calendar if you want to talk about what it looks like to get some help with this. We write LinkedIn profiles for every single person we work with, and that's where it starts because I want to showcase your brand. And I am here to support you in any way that I can. All right. I hope to see your name on our calendar. I will be back here tomorrow with another little mini marketing tip. Conquering call reluctance. It's a hot topic. I'll talk to you then.